I give up my money for the next train. I give up my honey if it's all the same. I give it all up for you. I've been looking for a willow in the wind, a temporary place to hide within, long enough to miss it when I begin to roll away. And give up my money for leaving the plane. I give up my money for the next train. I give up my honey if it's all the same. I give it all up for you. I've been looking for shelter from the sun, to look back on the places I come from, a place to hide before I run, before I ride your way. And give up my money for leaving the plane. I give up my money for the next train. I give up my honey if it's all the same. I give it all up for you. I'm tired of looking for something I can't find, so I'm looking for the way out of my mind. You look like you're just about my kind. You can show me the way. And I give up my money for leaving the plane. I give up my money for the next train. I give up my honey if it's all the same. I give it all up for you. I give up my money for leaving the plane. I give up my money for the next train. I give up my honey if it's all the same. I give it all up for you.
The name of that song is titled A Place, and it is written and recorded by my special guest today, Luke LeBlanc. Luke, welcome to the Friday Afternoon Music Mix.
Oh, happy to be here.
Your radio promoter sent me your new album, which was being released today, October the 27th, and it's titled Places. I have several of your albums, Luke, and this is by far my favorite. I am hoping this will eventually get you out our way so that you can do some gigs in the Pacific Northwest. But in the meantime, you've got some shows coming up right there in your home state of Minnesota. Tell me a little bit, if you would, please, about your process in recording and, of course, writing this album.
Well, my last couple albums, to kind of put it in context, the last couple albums, due to, we'll say, budget of an independent artist, the logistics of the pandemic, just how things shook out. The way we recorded the last couple albums, Only Human, Fugue State, we tracked everything kind of one at a time. I'd come down and record all the songs with my guitar and vocals. We'd have a day where we brought the drummer in, and then we'd have piano day, and then we'd have bass day. This album, we wanted to do something a little different. And by we, I mean me and Eric Koskinen, who produced the record, and he's produced my last few. We wanted to just bring the whole band down there on the same day or 2 days. It was over 2 days. We just wanted to get everybody in the room at the same time. Just accept at the forefront that there's going to be mistakes. You can't go re-record every single track like you can do when you're recording, laying things down one at a time. I think there's just some trade-offs with that room for making mistakes and that really strong attempt you put in to get a song perfect while also being loose and enjoying the process. That's kind of what art is all about. You know, you just can't make it perfect, but art comes when you're watching people struggle to try to do so. And so I think we just wanted to put ourselves in that situation. And something else that I've noticed, and I think a lot of others who record music notice, is usually it's your first or second idea when you're recording something that ends up sounding the best. It's that first instinct, that first note you try to go to. Whereas if you start working a song to death and start rehearsing it too much, it might lose that magic, so to speak. So that's the recording process of it. And the writing process, the writing came really quickly after I released my last album last October called Fugue State. I think having the album wrapped up and in a bow and out there just freed up some space in my mind, and I kind of switched from the logistics of getting that out. My mind was open for creativity, really. I ended up writing most of the songs within a month or two, I think, after the last album came out, which was a little different too. I think previous albums, they'd been collections of songs that I'd kind of collected recently or throughout the last year or so, whereas most of these were kind of written in a 1 or 2 month period.
The album that you just came out with, this is the fifth album, Places. The process that you have used in this has been pretty good because you've managed to put 3 albums out the last 3 years in a row, which is great.
Yeah, I'd release one, and then I kind of got the feeling that there were some more songs, and I just thought, if I'm ready to take on a project of recording another album and I'm excited for it and willing to do it, I thought I better do it, because it's even harder to make an album if you don't want to do it. It's hard to do anything if you don't want to do it. So I felt like if I've got a daunting task like making an album and I'm up for it, I better do it now. You know, it's like if you got a really messy garage or a storage unit in the basement, you know, if you suddenly feel like you want to clean it out, you might as well do it then, because when's the next time you're going to want to clean out a garage? So
let's do a second song from the new album. This is called No Good.
I don't know what the answer is. I followed you, we were just 2 kids, you know. And I don't know what the question was, and all I've got is just because, you know. Oh, you know. Whatever you thought, all I know is I'm no good for you. I'm no good for you. I'm no good for you. I'm no good. Throwing rocks off the River Queen, just as high as the engine steam we go. Till the watchful eye that we've never seen pulls us off the River Queen, and we go. Oh, we go. Whatever she thought, all I know is I'm no good for you. I'm no good. watch our rivalry unfold. One for one and two for two. Maybe all we do for show. Whatever I thought, for all you know, maybe I'm good for you. Maybe I'm good for you. Maybe I'm good for you. Maybe I'm good. 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 Maybe
Let me point out my special guest today is Minnesota singer-songwriter Luc LeBlanc. He has a new album that's being released today called Places. This is his 5th studio album. He has a website that I'd like for you to look at. It's just Luc LeBlanc, and that's LEBLANC.com. His Facebook page is very good too. It's Luc LeBlanc Music. And of course, he's got a great YouTube channel. Luc, tell me a little bit about, we're both Midwesterners. How did you find that relating to your music as being a Midwesterner, has that been a great inspiration for you?
Well, if I were to draw a connection between my music and the Midwest, I think there's something about the Midwest, especially being in a city in the Midwest. I like to think of Minneapolis, St. Paul, real big city. Well, but then I went to college and met people from New York City, and they thought this was a small town. So everything's relative, as Albert Einstein used to say. But I guess he was talking about gravity and all that. But anyways, I think something about being from the Midwest, I think you get a taste of everything. People, a lot of families in the Midwest, they've got their cabin up north. So they're exposed to being in rural, more countrified areas, or they might also have people that live in Minneapolis, St. Paul, or a larger city, Milwaukee. And you get exposed to that kind of life too. And I think we're just a big enough place that the big artists in the United States that tour the country, they're usually going to make a stop here, or even artists that are from overseas. I just saw a Peter Gabriel concert in town. I had never listened to Peter Gabriel before, and boy, was my mind blown. I think there's a sense of balance in being exposed to different ideas and cultures all in one place that you do get from the Midwest. And I think that does come out in people's art, not to mention the long periods where, hey, it's frigid cold outside, and you get, unless you got a really good hobby out there and you're good at dressing warm, which I'm not always, you get stuck inside with your ideas and you got to do something with it. So
I always told people that you had to have a good sense of humor living in the Midwest, because it was freezing cold in the winter and hot and humid in the summertime. Let's do a third song. This is one that I like a lot, and this is called Own It.
7 on 27th Avenue. You're worried about money and where it's coming from too. You got tears running out of your eyes and dreams filling up your head, and you'll pay for it all with the savings you got under your bed. But you own it, and it's something being all alone. But you own it, it's a bitch being all Everybody says that you just got to let it go. There's a price you're gonna pay for all the worry you hold. But you own it, and it's something being all alone. But you own it, it's a bitch being on your own. But you own it, yeah, you own it, yeah, you own it, yeah, you own it, and it's something being all alone. Oh, you own it, yeah, you own it, it's a bitch being on your own. But you own it, yeah, you own it, and it's something being all alone. But you own it, yeah, you own it, it's a bitch being on your own. But you own it, yeah, 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 you own it.
Speaking of growing up in the Midwest, I want you to tell me a little bit about the Zimmy Award.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to when I started playing the guitar, because this all kind of happened really quickly. I was about 11 years old when I started picking up the guitar. My grandpa had just passed away at the time, and he had this really, really old beat-up guitar that he'd pull out, I think, every couple of years. The strings were half an inch above the fretboard. And I'd been playing that and learning stuff, and sooner or later, I had started writing songs, and I think I was on spring break from school. I was like in 6th grade, and my dad said, enough moping around the house. Let's take you out somewhere where you can go play. We started circuiting the blues jams in town. I'd be in the bar at 12 years old as long as my homework was done. With my dad, I'd play in between the breaks of these bluesmen and women that were playing, and it exposed me to just playing in front of an audience, and not just an audience of my peers, but an audience of adults, some of which had a couple beers in them, some of which didn't. I think it just taught me from a young age what performing is outside of maybe just an auditorium at school or something, and I'm thankful for that. Somebody had told us about this singer-songwriter competition that was in Hibbing, Minnesota, about 2 some hours north of the Twin Cities. It was held at Zimmy's Bar, named after Robert Zimmerman. They had probably the largest collection of Bob Dylan memorabilia at the time. I know they've got the museum in Oklahoma now that probably supersedes it. Plus Zimmy's, they unfortunately went out of business a while back. But they had built this thing up where it was a national singer-songwriter competition. There'd be folks from Portland, Alaska, California, Texas that would come, and you'd play one Dylan song and one of your own songs. I was 12 by the time I entered this contest. We got a flat tire on the way up there. It was a whole thing. Played Forever Young by Bob Dylan. The song that I played was a song I'd written called Song to Bob, and I loosely based it off of Bob Dylan's Song to Woody. Basically, the song was about Election Day in 2008 when Obama was elected. Bob Dylan played a show that night in his home state of Minnesota, right at the University of Minnesota campus at the Northrop Auditorium, which is where Dylan went to college for just a couple of months before he dropped out and moved to New York. But that's a whole story in and of itself. What an ironic timing for him to have a show in the Twin Cities. And my dad and I kind of concocted this idea. We went to like the Dollar Tree and got this big cardboard box, broke it open so it was like a big flat thing. And we wrote all the stuff on the sign. Bob, Little Diamonds, that was my stage name at the time. I went by Little Diamonds back in those days. My dad's name, his nickname back in the day, he didn't play music or anything, but his nickname back in the day was Diamonds, Dazzlin' Diamond Duke. So when people would call us and, I'd answer the phone, they'd say, hey, Little Diamonds is Big Diamonds there. And so I'd hand the phone off. So when I went to that first open mic and they asked, what do you want to be called? I was like, think of something quick, Little Diamonds, and it stuck. Anyway, so the sign says, Bob, Little Diamonds wants to play with you tonight. Give him a chance. And then we thought, if that didn't get him, the last line will. Bob Dylan was a big Johnny Cash fan throughout his life. And so we wrote on there, Johnny Cash would be proud. If the first part didn't get him, that last part would really make him, want to pull me up on stage. So we figured out where his tour bus was, and we stood behind the security lines and stuff and just held up the sign. And his bass player would get off the tour bus and go into the auditorium, and he'd kind of look over and, give me the thumbs up, kind of like, good on you for giving this a shot, and the drummer would come out and, give us the peace sign and all that stuff. And Bob Dylan came out, and I think he might have kind of looked over, but then he just kind of went up, did his job on stage. I didn't get to play with him, but I wrote a whole song about the experience called Song to Bob, and I played it at that singer-songwriter contest, and I happened to win the contest. It was just a really magical night. It was the first time that I had played where I couldn't hear anything in the audience. I mean, it was just really, really quiet, and I think people really connected to the performance. And I don't mean that in a kind of bragging way, but I think that's just the magic of performing live, when just everything connects in such a way that you get just a perfectly quiet audience, and that whatever you're doing is entertaining them for their money's worth. It was I'll never forget that experience. And it led to a lot of other cool things. There was somebody in the audience who got me opening for the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Ozark Mountain Daredevils, Phil Solemn of the Rembrandts. It was quite the experience.
That's a great story. I like that a lot.
Yeah, thanks.
And what were you, 11 years old or something like that?
I was 12 at this time. 12 or 13, I forget. If folks go to YouTube and they look up Little Diamonds Song to Bob, or Little Diamonds Dylan Days, or Song to Bob Dylan Days, they'll find 13-year-old me singing that song with the sign. And well, we brought the sign up there.
I'll have to look that up and listen as soon as the interview is over. Thank you for telling me that. My special guest today is Luc LeBlanc, Minnesota singer-songwriter. He has a new album that has just been released today that's called Places. This is his 5th studio album. You can get more information about that. And he's got some gigs coming up in November and December in his home state of Minnesota. Read about all that on his website at lucleblanc.com, and on his Facebook site at Luc LeBlanc Music.
That's correct. And then Instagram, right. Luc LeBlanc Music. Yep.
The new album is called Places. I think is by far your best. Congratulations on this, Luc. And thank you again for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you and everybody involved for having me on and doing all the work to put all this together. It's much appreciated.
Let's go out with another great song from this album called Defeated.
To you I look up, keep my chin up, and take it as it comes. To give up is to slip up and be beat like a drum. But maybe I just wanna be defeated. Take all my worry and leave it. Take the loss, I will receive it. Maybe I wanna be defeated. To wallow is to follow the pity in our veins. Till we swallow all the hollow like a melted sugar cane. But maybe I just wanna be defeated, take all my worry and leave it. Take the loss, I will receive it. Maybe I wanna be defeated. Calico, indigo, the colors we chase. Green on a mistletoe, black on an empty road. Watch them erase. 'Cause maybe I just wanna be defeated, take all my worry and leave it. Take the loss, I will receive it. Maybe I wanna be defeated. Maybe I wanna be defeated. Take all my worry and leave it. Take the loss, I will receive it. Maybe I wanna be defeated. Maybe I wanna be defeated. Maybe I wanna be defeated. Maybe I wanna be defeated.